Alright. We're going to speed through this since we're on a time limit.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but gotta make the money, right?
Okay.
Seriously, it's no reason why I'm working.
Luckily, we only have 2 to do. We're going to start with Frankenstein, which has a wonderful reputation. Apparently,
already
the trailer got like a really bad reaction, and then critics and audiences alike unleashed on it starting last night. It had like a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, and even people were saying they weren't liking it.
We had a 10 o'clock of it last night. I had no idea if anybody was even going to show up for it.
There was hardly anybody in there today.
Yeah?
This won't open in the top 5.
No.
Okay. So, it actually starts off interesting, because it actually starts off the way the real story does. Because you have Frankenstein builds the monster. It turns on him, it kills his wife and takes her heart, and then Frankenstein ends up killed. Everybody thinks it's the monster. Then we go into the story.
Yeah.
And it turns out the monster is killing demons. And he teams up with some gargoyles. And they fight demons together. And there's a lot of fire. And there's a villain played by Bill Nye who wants Frankenstein's journal, which has all the information on how to reanimate corpses. And I guess he's going to build an army to destroy the world or something. And so basically you have to have your little important thing. It's like, in all spy movies, it's a microfilm. And here it is Frankenstein's journal. Yes. Everybody wants this fucking thing. So they chase it down like they chased down the Jumanji game in the movie. and it just conveniently ends up in places like that too. There's a particular scene where he goes back to that doctor's apartment or wherever they were. And he's looking around. It looks like the place has been ransacked. She's gone. And it looks like some shit's gone down. And he really, really needs that journal. Everybody in the world wants that journal. The journal's just fucking laying there on the floor. And he just picks it up and continues on with the story. But anyway, that's about as much as we get as a plot. And the rest is fighting demons and trying to be badass. And swords and shit. And
fire.
Blue lights when gargoyles die, whatever that is. Okay, going into this, I was kind of hoping for, you probably know, if you've heard me talk about it enough, last January, Hansel and Gretel came out.
Yeah. And
I was one of the only people that liked it. It was just a fun ride of a movie. It wasn't anything, spectacular. And I was expecting something along those guilty pleasure lines, like, looking at it, I kind of saw a little bit of Ghost Rider and a little bit of Max Payne and all that. Mm. I like those movies as guilty pleasures.
Yeah, I know you do.
But this isn't fun like that. A lot of this is actually boring.
Yes.
And redundant. Because we gotta find the journal action scene. And it's not even really they have to do much to find it. They always have it with them. It's just the bad guys that are looking for it. But it's like, hey, I need that journal. Oh, no, I'm keeping this journal. Fight scene. Kills a demon. A bunch of fire. On to the next scene, which is the exact same thing. And it's just kind of this ongoing thing for an hour and a half.
I thought the monster didn't like fire.
At least it's only an hour. At least it's only an hour and a half. This just looks like one of those movies that could have been one of those blockbuster movies that goes on for way too long, but they managed to condense it to an hour and a half, and I commend them for that at least. There is in this, I turned on this movie really fast. I hate to sound like that guy. I feel like that guy that just hates everything now, but it's fucking January.
That's the 2 words about this month.
We had a really good January last year.
Yes. Gangster Squad, Mama.
The Last Stand. Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. Wasn't Bullet to the Head, and it was February.
Yeah. Okay. But, most people hated those movies, but I thought they were great.
Yeah, I liked all of them.
No, this January is one of those really, really bad Januaries. This was supposed to come out, like, in September of last year or something, like in mid-September.
Yep.
And they pushed it because basically people assumed because the studio was embarrassed by it. It's kind of like how with the reception of Diana, Weinstein's not even going to release that Grace and Monaco movie with Nicole Kidman now. So I'll start with, okay, what made me turn on this movie really quickly was, I guess, starting with the dialogue. Now, I know when you watch a movie like this, you're not expecting, Shakespearean dialogue or anything, but, they're going to try, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, nobody in this movie tries except Aaron Eckhart. Because God bless Aaron Eckhart. He has the worst agent in the world.
Don Cheadle was pretty up there, too.
He had Thank You for Smoking, then he does shitty movies. Then he had The Dark Knight, then he did shitty movies. Then he had Rabbit Hole, now he's still doing shitty movies. He just pops up every now and then with something good.
Yeah, speaking of The Dark Knight.
He needs to, Neil LaBute needs to start putting him back in movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, when you hear this, okay, it's almost like they didn't, okay, I know it's an action movie and it's a big special effects movie, okay, but
they looked bad.
You can still, the effects weren't that bad. It's the problem with the dialogue is you need that dialogue to kind of build a story around why these effects are happening, which of course is something this movie doesn't understand, because pretty much every time there was a scene of dialogue in this movie, it's like they were hurrying up to get it out of the way.
We need to get to the action.
Because it was when they did the whole prologue thing, that happened in like 30 seconds, and then we were in an action scene. And then when he goes to the big castle where the gargoyles take him and all that, we'll have all this exposition and all this plot that needs to happen, but they're speaking in nothing but plot points. Because they just want to do it as fast as they can so they can get to the next action scene. And it's sort of, for a while there, it's actually hard to keep up with, because they just did not care at all enough to really, this is all the important stuff, and now let's keep going quickly.
Definitely can see the reason why they put it off putting it out until now.
Yeah. And one of the main gargoyle guy, I guess, is Gideon, I think his name was.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that was Jay Courtney from A Good Day to Die Hard and Jack Reacher.
I think you're right.
Because after A Good Day to Die Hard, we were all so very excited to see him in another movie. Because at least it took almost a year. Because A Good Day to Die Hard was February. I'm sure he could probably be a nice guy in real life, but don't put him in movies anymore. And then you have these villains that work for Bill Nye, and they look human, and then like their head goes away, and they have leftover makeup from the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like early conceptions of the Creeper design.
They're like Hugo Weaving from The Matrix.
And it was like the Blade movies, where, the action in the Blade movies is awesome, but I've always never really liked the whole, the action scene ends where all you have to do is you just have to stab them and they just burst into flame.
It's like fighting a putty. In essence.
It's about as difficult, too.
Yeah, no lie.
There was one thing. This is more like what I wish the movie would have been. I'm sure people think people may have thought this was the bottom of the barrel of the action scenes. I actually thought it was the peak. I was like, if they had more shit like this, the movie would have been more fun and not taking itself as seriously. Mm-hmm. There's this scene towards the end where the big battle's about to happen, and Aaron Eckhart's charging down the street. And this creature, it might have been one of the gargoyles or something, because some of the gargoyles are bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's flying towards him, and he just keeps charging. And the gargoyle's coming at him, and it's doing his big thing. And Eckhart just jumps into midair and punches it in the face.
For wrestling fans out there, he throws out Roman Reigns' Superman punch, and that's how he fights.
Like I said, I'm sure people thought that was dumb, but honestly, if the action had been more like that, it probably would have been a more fun movie.
Killer bump by the gargoyle, too, on that vehicle.
It was like it reminded me of the flying headbutt in Fast and Furious 6.
Nice.
Going back to the dialogue, too, another thing that's annoying about the lines in this movie, apart from the fact of how poorly handled they are, the actors in this movie, apart from Aaron Eckhart, just do not try at all. They don't care. No. They really don't care at all what they sound like when they talk. Just no sense of delivery whatsoever. And it probably, It probably has to do with the fact that I haven't seen most of these actors ever before. If I have, I don't remember.
There's probably a reason for that.
I don't know many of their names. A couple of the faces looked a little familiar, but I can't place a name on them. But it's one of those movies where pretty much every line of dialogue somebody says, they're doing it in this big dramatic fashion. But it's a piece of dialogue that you like already completed in your head like 2 lines ago. Like the big beginning line where he says, everybody thought this was the end, but this isn't the end. Pause. It's just the beginning. Then you had another line where he was talking about he thought the demons like had forgotten about him and weren't coming after him. And then he gets serious and looks towards the camera. But I was wrong. It's a bunch of trailer lines is what it is.
Even the last line in the movie is exactly like that.
I was going to bring that. Yeah, obviously you have to have your title drop that makes no sense.
No!
Because, okay.
Grammatically incorrect.
Well, hold on. We keep going back and forth here because here's what happens. Obviously the big controversy with this story to begin with is don't call the monster Frankenstein. The doctor was Frankenstein. The monster is just the monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now the monster has a name. But here's the thing. It keeps going back and forth.
Yeah.
Because it's abundantly clear that his name is Adam.
Yep.
But people throughout the movie are still calling him Frankenstein. And nobody bothers to correct this. He just goes with it, I guess.
Why can't it be Adam Frankenstein? I guess technically that'd be his name, legitimately. Apparently someone gave him that name.
And then we have this, another line that's really easy to complete. They have this big scene at the beginning where they keep calling him It. Because he's a monster.
Yeah.
And then the woman says, no, it's a him. And then, of course, you have this big moment at the end where we have this doctor. I'll get
yes.
to that. But anyway, we have this big moment at the end where he's coming and he's charging in. He's going to kick ass and everything. And we have Bill Nye's big bodyguard who, it took me forever to convince myself it wasn't Shaq. And he gets on the phone and he says, "It's here."
Cobra Bubbles from Lilo and Stitch is what the guy was.
So, of course, that leads to we actually cut to the battle and then we cut back to the scene, I think. And that's when you have to have the line where the woman says, "It's not an it, it's an him."
And down the hall, it's a her.
Okay, now about this doctor, okay? So we're about 20 minutes into the movie, and we see Bill Nye's big plan. We're in his big office. We don't see his face for a second. We just see his T or whatever the fuck that was. And we know, oh man, this guy's the evil mastermind. I didn't know Bill Nye was in it until I saw it. I saw the back of his head, and I was like, hey, that's the back of Bill Nye's head.
You don't watch trailers. That's the only reason you didn't know that.
Oh, is he in the trailer?
No.
Oh. Well, yeah, I saw the back of his head, and you can tell. You can tell Bill Nye by the back of his head.
Yes.
And
yes,
of course, we have this big reveal of his face. And it's like, oh, shock, surprise! It's Bill Nye's face. I would have never seen that coming.
It's like the reveal of Dr. Claw.
So, no, Bill Nye's face is slightly more sinister than Rupert Everett's.
Just a tad.
But so anyway, and they're doing this big thing. It's Norman Osborn's laboratory, is what it is.
Yep.
You even have Dr. Strom in there. The guy looks exactly like him. And you have this doctor. It just so happens this doctor is rather young, is a very attractive woman, a very attractive blonde woman, and speaks in an accent. She is so not going to turn against Bill Nye and do the right thing later. She's not going to be the one that takes Adam up to her place and stitches his wounds and understands his sensibilities and his problems. That's not going to happen at all. Yeah. Well, they didn't go as far into that as they could have, so I guess that if the movie had been half an hour longer, which once again I'm surprised it wasn't, something tells me there would have been some bullshit love story or something. It was pretty much already there. Apparently this is based on something. It looked like a graphic novel or something.
Just looking at the action sequences, that makes sense.
Apparently, because I kept hearing comments about like people saying, "Oh, they're taking the material." This was something before because they're saying, "Oh, they're taking great material and they're turning it into these stupid action movies," you know. That's what they actually say.
Yui Bowl.
And yeah, they basically do this. I don't know what the source material was like, but obviously they're now doing this Van Helsing underworld thing.
That's not a good thing.
No. I fucking hate Van Helsing, and I hate... The underworld movies are getting better as they go, but the bar's really low, so...
When you set the bar that low, you have to at least, like, tiptoe over it once in a while.
That fourth one's probably the last one, anyway. That was, like, what? Oh, no, it was just a couple years ago. But anyway, speaking of Bill Nye...
Yeah.
I think that's about it. Drinking Game.
Yes.
This is another movie with a drinking game. You will die of alcohol poisoning. You will die worse than Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas if you play the drinking game of take a drink every time somebody smashes through a window or a ceiling. That is most of the movie's runtime, is somebody coming through a ceiling or leaving out a window or coming through a window. You crash through walls, too. That's in there. There is this interesting shot that we get overhead of he's being pushed through the walls of an entire building by one of the gargoyles, and we see it from the top, and you see like the ceiling like collapsing as it goes. This movie's not without, its good shots, and the effects are fine. I mean, yeah, they look very CG most of the time, but it's kind of it will be hard to make the stuff in this movie look real because of just the shit it is. So I guess that's forgivable. But other than that,
I gotta throw something in
I'm
here.
not gonna recommend that or anything.
I was gonna ask if you were recommended at all.
No.
There is something that I noticed immediately, and it's one of those things I couldn't really put my finger on exactly what it was until it just hit me. And the second it hit me, it was kind of like, okay, I can't get this out of my head, so now I'm going to enjoy this from a completely different manner. I hated this movie, straight up. But when it comes down to it, I will say that there's something about Aaron Eckhart's voice that's very familiar. We'll just go with that. There are times in this movie where he regresses into Batman. Like, he sounds like Kevin Conroy's Batman. And to prove this, I would say if you would watch this on Netflix, or I can't say right into a video store, sad panda, but if you would watch this somewhere down the road, if you're bored, you have nothing else to do, and you wanted to say, let's watch I, Frankenstein, first off, you're dumb. Second off, if you want to just watch it, shut your eyes for a minute when Aaron Eckhart talks, when he's on screen, and tell me he does not sound like Kevin Conroy's Batman.
He's doing the ultimate identity theft because he's taking his revenge on the person that killed him. No matter what fans say, Batman fucking killed Aaron Eckhart.
It's in the freaking script.
Okay.
Two-Face, so, Harvey lays dead in the with neck broken.
The fact that he's dead is not the question. It's the fact that Batman killed him. He pushed him off a fucking ledge. It's the whole, oh no, he was just saving Gordon's son. Yeah, by pushing him off a ledge and killing him.
College Humor has that really awesome thing with Batman, with Patton Oswalt as the Penguin. And check that out if you want to see about Batman and killing people.
Our next and last movie is The Nut Job.
Best movie in the world right now.
The busiest movie in the world right now, apparently.
Yeah, no lie. It's ridiculous. Well, it's because we don't have any of their kids' movies. And everybody in the world's already seen Frozen. Go see it again. Okay,
so this is one of those animated movies that, okay, I don't even know where to start with this. This is one of those animated movies where it tries to... It has a plot that I don't think kids are going to care about.
That's not why people are going.
What's actually going on here is there's a parallel plot going on.
Yeah.
The first part is the wacky antics of animals, whether it be squirrels or raccoons or possums, whatever the fuck they were. There were all kinds of them. But
yeah.
And of course, they're going to starve over the winter if they don't get a shitload of nuts.
Yes.
So they decide, by the orders of their leader raccoon, who is Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Speaking of Batman.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to this... Okay, well, first off, their plan is to rob a nut cart.
Yes.
Apparently this is this guy's business, but for the longest time I was thinking, who the fuck has ever seen a nut cart in real life? Unless I just am ignorant to these things,
I've seen one.
Okay. Carts strictly for nuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different types of nuts, yeah.
Well, this is their... It's like the hot dog cart and Sleepers. This is their little Target.
Yes.
And we meet... Oh, my God. We meet this squirrel who is voiced by Will Arnett. Already I'm turned off.
Also Batman from the Lego movie.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
And we have Brendan Fraser, who is this other... Is he a squirrel also? I couldn't tell what some of these animals were.
Yeah, Grayson just upset he didn't get his cup of coffee.
Yeah, so Brendan Fraser is the squirrel that everybody adores, even though he's an idiot. Which is the ultimate...
You got what I'm saying there.
Which is the ultimate Brendan Fraser character, normally.
Yes.
So anyway, we have another squirrel. The voice of reason squirrel.
Yeah.
If it wasn't enough of a turnoff that Will Arnett is in this movie, this voice of reason squirrel, that's basically the love interest of the movie, is Katherine Heigl.
You don't like either.
When I write these notes here, you'll notice I wrote Heigl in all capital letters, I underlined, and I put a frowny face. Because that's what Katherine Heigl makes me feel.
That's hilarious.
Even when I don't see her. Even when it's just her voice.
In the dark, it's hard to write anyway, but you wrote in all caps Heigl with a frowny face underneath. That takes talent, folks.
I didn't know who did the voices. We got some helpful credits at the beginning to have all the names.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I want to argue about the credits for a minute before I bash this movie by itself. When you have this is a total... You know what? I'll go into this at the end because it's something nobody cares about but me. It involves the credit order. So basically, they try to rob this nut cart, and then that's when they realize that these nuts in this nut cart are coming from this big business that has basically an entire vault of nuts. So they want to rob that. But the other plot that kids don't care about, and neither did I, was there's actually, how clever, a parallel plot going on where the guys that run the nut cart are trying to rob something else. Or something.
Trying to rob a bank vault.
Yes, that was it, of course. Because that's, what you rob.
Exactly.
And the story goes from there. And so begin nut pun after nut pun after... And it's not just nut puns. It's all kinds of puns.
Yeah,
Normally, I don't... Puns can be funny, like in the Clyde Over the Chance of Meatballs movies.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no issue with that.
Butter. But here... Okay, and they're really, really lazy puns, too. Like, there is such a thing as a clever pun if it's in the right place at the right time. But the very start of this movie is you have birds, and you have Will Arnett talking with his fucking douche voice.
Yeah.
And he says this fucking... He's talking about how, oh yeah, this is my plan, this is what I do. And you're like, oh, you think I'm one of these birds, don't you? No, I'm this squirrel. And the squirrel runs in. And he says a pun involving the word kick. I don't remember what it was. And then he kicks the bird off the wire. This guy is a fantastic character. I mean, they try to do... he's basically trying to be RJ from Over the Hedge. Because
it really is.
RJ was a really unlikable character that was actually really lovable. Because he was a scumbag that did things for his own liking. But he had a likable enough quality to him to where you wanted to see him change his ways and turn around and be, good in one of them.
Yeah.
This guy, and it probably helps that Bruce Willis's voice work was very appealing.
Well, of course.
Appealing is the last thing Will Arnett has ever been.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life. I'm just strictly talking about his film work. In his TV work. Every time he was on 30 Rock, I wanted to drill something into my head. But, they're trying to make this squirrel character likable. Here's what happens. Okay? The scene at the beginning with the nut cart. Okay? There's this big chase sequence and all this. And this is another thing. This movie also wants to be Over the Hedge because one of the things that made Over the Hedge so funny was how over the top all the shit was.
Mm.
I lost count of the number of over the top explosions that were in Over the Hedge.
Yeah.
And what makes that funny is because Over the Hedge is set in this quiet little suburban neighborhood. And it has all these over the top explosions in it.
Vehicle alarms going off left and right in that town.
There is a scene towards the beginning where this shit goes awry and their tree catches on fire.
Yes.
Okay? This is a horrible ordeal. This is where they live.
Yeah.
Their tree is on fire.
Their nuts are completely gone now.
And what this squirrel is doing, our hero of the story, is laughing at them.
Yeah.
Why do I want this guy to succeed? Why do I want to watch him be the star of this movie for an hour and a half?
Because kids are going to find him funny.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what Brendan Fraser's for.
Yeah. Okay.
Fraser is doing this thing. I like Brendan Fraser. I think he's underrated.
Very underrated.
His movies do tend to get pushed to the side because, you know...
Extraordinary Measures, I'm looking at you.
But this character... I don't think it's Fraser. I think it's the character. His character is just really, really annoying and brash.
He's regressing back to Looney Tunes back in action. That's the kind of type of character he's going for.
No, this is more like Dudley Do-Right on cocaine.
I can see that.
Is what I imagine he was like in the recording booth. And he just does that thing where his character entirely speaks in funny lines.
Yeah.
I don't think his character has one line that's not supposed to be funny. And none of them are, and that's depressing.
Yeah. He has good build-up, but it just doesn't have a great payoff.
And it does this thing where... You know those movies. Those movies where they know they're strictly for kids, so they don't really have to do much. They can be as lazy as they can, and they'll still be entertaining to kids. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they have a bunch of slapstick with funky music playing. Just all the time. Just over and over again. And it's just really tired.
It's garbage. Stop watching these movies.
And here's the thing. We have this. Okay, there's a couple of other characters. There's this mouse that doesn't talk, until the time is right. He's trying to be fucking Tiny Tim.
I was going Silent Bob, but that's okay.
Okay, and then there is, or Brie Larson and Don John.
That'll work
for a more recent example. There is this thing that made me laugh. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or not. We have this bulldog, I think, that's voiced by Maya Rudolph, I think.
Yes.
And we know it's a girl because they keep calling it she and her. But it doesn't talk, it just does the thing. It's like this tough bulldog.
It's like Frank Walker in all his movies.
I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or not, but the one thing that really made me laugh was, finally something happens and the bulldog talks. And the first time you hear the bulldog talk, I didn't know that was going to be her. Mm-hmm. So when you first heard the bulldog's voice, that's not what I expected to hear.
Nope.
I said, I don't know if that's supposed to be funny or not, because we know it's a girl the whole time. But it was just, it's a very soft, squeaky voice almost that comes out of it. What else is there to hate about this? There's a couple of things towards the end. Should I go ahead and go into them?
Yeah.
We get the I smell a rat pun a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk about Liam Neeson for a second. Liam Neeson doesn't get to do much except be the leader raccoon.
He's also in the Lego movie.
But some of these lines... This is one of those movies where I was distracted because I wanted to stop watching The Nut Job and I wanted to start watching a recording of Liam Neeson recording these lines in a sound booth.
It's like Epic.
You
want to pay attention to that instead of the actual movie.
Okay. Now, let me go ahead and tell you something. This is kind of a spoiler, but come on. We're talking about a movie called The Nut Job. It's about squirrels stealing nuts.
It's already been out for a week.
This movie has this is my least favorite cliche ever, I think. I have so many cliches that I can't fucking stand. I think this one probably takes the cake, especially since it's happening more often now. This cliche that you've seen in so many goddamn movies, where for whatever reason, the makers of the movie actually think that you, as a stupid audience member, will believe that the main character has died.
Yeah.
So there's this really prolonged scene of the main character laying there unconscious, and everybody's standing around him really sad, praying to God he comes around, and we have to wait for him to do his I'm alive breath. And oh my God, everybody's happy, everybody hug, everybody, yay, we win, the credits roll, all that shit. Here's the thing, though, about that scene. Without saying too much, I guess. The movie's already been out for a week. I'm sure if you saw it, you've seen it. Or we're going to see it, you saw it. There's really no logical reason for him to be alive. It reminded me of the end of A Game of Shadows, when Holmes and Moriarty go over the waterfall.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was an explanation for how that turned out. No, it's the same thing. I think that was kind of supposed to be a Holmes homage. Because, obviously, two of them go over the waterfall, one comes out. There's no explanation, though. I guess the other person that fell over is just dead, and we have to live with that. But even though our main character did exactly the same thing as he did, somehow he's washed up to a shore and he's alive. Which means there should have been a cliffhanger scene where we see the other person in this scene wash up the shore, and we get really dark music and his eyes turn red, and we actually have a nutjob sequel that's actually a bloodthirsty horror movie of revenge. That I would watch.
With Will Arnett still in the lead?
Yes, and it would be like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween H2O or Jay Hernandez in Hostel 2. You kill him in the first scene of the sequel. That's what you do.
This is a bloodthirsty animated horror movie. It'd be a lot better.
The main girl in the Friday the 13th sequel that cut Mrs. Voorhees' head off. We're talking about Friday the 13th now in the nutjob. That's how important this is.
This movie's got a lot of Lego Movie cast in it, too.
Okay, so let's talk about the last sin this movie commits.
Did you get the Reservoir Dogs, homage in there, too?
What was that?
They played, a version... They tried to play, the music a little bit, and they were, walking side by side. That's what came to my mind immediately. It was, towards the end of the movie.
If they had actually played Little Green Bag, I might have noticed it, but...
No, it was something like it.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was definitely a knockoff. It was like Jim Johnston creating music for WWE. It was a knockoff of something. That's what it sounded like, at least.
The last thing I want to talk about with this movie. If you've seen promotion for this movie, you know there is a semi-famous person that's not really all that famous anymore that was famous for 10 minutes promoting this movie.
Literally, the YouTube video is priceless.
Literally telling you to go see this movie.
And YouTube video is exactly what he does.
This song...
I like the song. It doesn't fit the movie at all.
What? When was this movie made?
That's a good question.
Do you think it was made when it was popular? Or do you think they're trying to catch on something that's already old?
I think it was made when it was popular.
Okay.
Because everybody in the world loved that song when it came out.
Yeah, it's this generation's Macarena.
It really is. And you don't know the words to either one.
So, it's actually to a point. They used that song in This Is the End. This Is the End came out June of last year. Mm-hmm. So, and back then it was leaning towards irrelevance. But This Is the End used it in a really funny context, so that's beside the point. This movie uses it just to use it, just because it was a fad.
It made no sense either. When they use it in the actual movie, it made no sense. And I was like, okay, they're going to have to use it somewhere. Where are they going to use it? That's where they're going to use it? Okay.
So, yeah. It's one of those movies where that song alone, that song's presence in this movie, is enough to seal how lazy it was. This movie was made just to be one of those...
It's a cash cow.
Yeah. There's no kids' movies out in January. Let's put this here and make a shitload of money. But it doesn't really matter what we put into it, because kids will eat it up as long as we put slapstick and funky music in it.
Yeah. Bathroom humor, too.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much that.
Yeah. I don't dislike Psy at all, and unlike some people, I actually like his second song, Gentleman, but Gangnam Style is so played out, and it's bad because it's the credit song. And the credits are animated Psy and all the other characters doing the Gangnam Style dance.
And there were two people in there with us, and they had a kid. And of course, the kid was jumping up and down like it was on speed. So, congratulations to our job. You've made a shitload of money, and you've made kids drive their parents insane.
Yes, they're all now Jack from The Incredibles.
Way to go. Way to fucking go, you assholes.
Well, that was fun. Well, next week we've got This Awkward Moment.
That.
I said it last. I thought it was wrong. Sorry. I keep forgetting about this movie. That awkward moment and Labor Day.
Mm.
And apparently there's going to be a re-release of Frozen that's going to have a sing-along to it. We've already reviewed that movie, so obviously we're not going into that. And then February 7th, kids movie once again, the Lego Movie comes out. So yeah, it's not going to be a good year for kids movies, at least until later in the year.
I will take Chris Pratt over Will Arnett any day.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I like the trailer for the Lego Movie. I think it's funnier. But you haven't seen it yet, so you don't know. But
Okay.
any recommendation for this movie? To anybody? Would you recommend it to anyone?
No.
Would you tell them to just go watch Frozen again?
I'd tell them to go rent The Croods.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Go rent The Croods.
I'm sorry, they'll probably be quoting that damn monkey, but at least that's better than this.
Yep.
Having them quote the monkey from The Croods unknowingly over and over again, you'll have a much better time anyway.
Agreed.
So.
Alright, so actually got 2 verses coming in the next 2 days. This coming Thursday, we've got the Film Independent Spirit Awards predictions, and our Oscar predictions are coming in a couple weeks. I don't know exactly what day yet, but I know they're going to be coming in probably middle of February. Get a little closer to the ceremony itself. Any parting words, AJ?
If you participated in the making of The Nut Job, and your name isn't Liam Neeson because Liam Neeson's cool, fuck you.